Hi everyone, Kelly Mahler, occupational therapist, and I want to talk about something that we don't hear enough about, and that's about intense interoceptive experiences. We tend to talk a lot more about the muted inner experience. We talk about maybe not noticing signals or maybe signals that aren't really noticed until they get to a really big place. But what about the opposite experience? What about when a person's body feels really loud, or maybe their signals are urgent, or they're impossible to ignore? So there's a lot of different examples out there from people that are living with intense interoceptive experiences. It's going to be, of course, different for everyone, but some examples might look like someone that might have a strong, like choking like sensation or swallowing sensation that won't let go of their attention, and it really impacts their ability to eat or drink. Or maybe they experience their pee sensations, there's those urination sensations, as very intense or very urgent, and the tiniest little signal just captures that attention even when your body might not be at a place that it needs to go. Or sometimes people describe panic-like sensations. Maybe it's a tight chest or a shortness of breath that just hooks their attention, and it's seemingly impossible to shift their attention away from it. So many people with intense interoceptive experiences, they describe either like one or two signals that are really strong, all encompassing, or for other people, they might just have a overall intense experience where they notice many signals happening all at once. It might be described by some as internal chaos. So here are 5 things you should know about intense inner experiences. There's a lot more, but let's talk about 5. So number 1, intense interoceptive experiences are more common, I think, than we even realize yet. And these experiences can be very constant, meaning that it's a daily experience for someone. It's not an occasional experience. It sometimes can even show up many times a day, these intense interoceptive signals. Sometimes people say that their intense inner world is a constant experience where everything is loud, everything is distracting, and it can be really hard to dampen that intensity, to shift attention away from those signals. So it's not really every once in a while there's internal discomfort. It is a lived, ongoing internal experience for many. Number 2, the biggest challenge isn't really just the signal, the body signal. It's really getting unstuck from that signal for many people. One of the strongest patterns we hear, and again, this doesn't apply to everyone, but one of the strongest patterns is that our attention can like get pulled to a certain body signal, and it's really hard to then shift away from that signal. And so when attention is stuck, we kind of call it sticky attention. Many times that then creates the signal to read as even more intense, and then the attention gets even more stuck, and it's this cycle that happens for many, many people. So it's not really just like I feel something, it's I can't stop noticing that feeling. And so something really important to consider. Number 3, a lot of times in research, if someone is said to have an intense interoceptive experience many times, that is also connected to not being able to interpret your body signals or understand the meaning of those intense signals. And while that is true for a lot of people, it's not necessarily true for everyone. Feeling something strongly, like feeling a signal strongly, doesn't mean that people don't understand it. A lot of people tell us that they can feel their bodies very clearly and they do know what it means, but other people talk about how they notice a very strong signal and they're not always sure like what it means for them, why it's happening, or what to do about it. So awareness doesn't always equal understanding. We really need to be careful at asking people about their experiences, because what we hear from a lot of people is that, and this is not always true, but if we understand the meaning behind the signal, many times that can be very helpful in reducing the intensity and feeling like you have agency over the way your body feels. Number 4, the more intense the experience, the more likely people are to have an experience or multiple experiences of being dismissed. And honestly, this one just stops me my tracks. When we talk to people with intense interoceptive experiences, we find that the more intense their body signals are, the more likely they have been told things like, you're fine, or there's nothing wrong with you, or you're overreacting. So, essentially they're being told like it's all in your head, which is absolutely not true. And we know that people, are being filtered through systems that many times don't know how to be curious enough. They don't know how to be listeners. And I think this is where it gets even more interesting, is that many times when people tell us about these experiences of being dismissed, it then impacts the intensity of their inner experience, where they often pay even more attention to their body. They trust their bodies even less, and they feel less sure about what to do. So my question is, maybe those intense interoceptive experiences are not necessarily all in the person's head, but maybe it's in the heads of the people around them, right? And not being curious enough, not embracing the fact that it is very possible that people have very different inner experiences. And just because someone can't necessarily find a medical cause or a medical explanation behind why someone is experiencing an intense signal or symptom or multiple symptoms, doesn't mean that experience is invalid or not true. Okay, number 5 is pushing through intense interoceptive experiences often does not help. But ironically, most people are taught kind of exactly to push through, to ignore their bodies, to be tough, to no pain, no gain, ignore what your body needs in order to please other people. And so we are constantly living in this compliance-heavy society that teaches us to push through, don't think about our bodies, don't honor what our bodies needs. And we know that can be the opposite of what a person's body needs, including people that have intense inner experiences. When people push through, many times, their body takes the cost, right? Their internal needs get missed. Many times signal intensity can even get more escalated, and the body just naturally has to get louder to be heard. So pushing through isn't regulation. Pushing through isn't helpful to an intense inner experience. It creates actually more problems long term. So, and finally, we have so much more to learn about this intense interoceptive experience, but where we need to be really clear here is it's not someone being quote unquote overreactive or quote unquote too sensitive. It's about a very valid experience. Someone has very strong body signals. Their attention can get pulled to those signals naturally. And then they are many times surrounded by environments and people in those environments that don't always know how to respond. So really the goal is not to quiet the body. It's to build a relationship with it through lots of curiosity and validation and support. And that's really, what my work is all about. Because even when someone is experiencing intense signals, those signals have meaning, and we need to explore and figure out what those mean. Until next time.